Welcome to Box Free with Stephanie. Today I want to show you how to make some basic foods with simple ingredients from scratch. And I hope you discover cooking box free is fast and delicious. So let's cook together. Today we're going to make bread pudding, which most people eat as a dessert, but I don't. I grew up eating it for breakfast, if you can believe it. So let's start shredding because we have to shred some bread. I start with the crusts of bread. Every time we get a loaf of bread, pretty much no matter what kind it is, we always just keep the crust in a bag in the freezer, and then I use it for bread pudding, or I grind it up for meatloaf, or like when I do chicken nuggets or something. So I always have bread crust in the freezer. And this is a total of 5 pieces, because like this is pretty thin and this is pretty thin. And there's no magic to crumbling it up. So I take them out of the freezer and I let them sit out for like an hour or two, or I don't know, I guess if I don't have any time, I just, break them up when they're frozen. It doesn't really matter. But my recipe, which I'm using, which is pretty much right out of Better Homes and Gardens, there's my oven, it's at 325. My recipe calls for 3 cups of bread or 4 slices. And because I'm using the crusts, I feel like they're just a little bit smaller than like a regular piece of bread. So I always do usually 1 extra crust. And it just depends. I don't know what I've got and stuff. So today I had enough, so I did 5 because I felt like some of them were pretty small. And maybe I'll actually throw it in my bowl and I could really measure. So this is going to be my baking bowl. And I usually just break these up right in there. And you can see like this is like just dry and crisp and not very nice, and that's okay. You want like a dry bread for this. And I have done it with like 12 grain bread and stuff that's real nutty, and that doesn't work as well actually, because you want the bread to be kind of a softer one so that it becomes more like a soft pudding and smooth pudding. But whatever, you can try it. And if you all you have is like grainy, actually not so much grainy but nutty, nuts are what wasn't so good in it. It still works. You just have a little bit of a different texture. Okay, so I think this is about right, but just for the fun of it, we're gonna, whoopsie, there's one for the puppy. We're gonna see, and that's almost 4 cups, which is just perfect. So my 5 crusts were equal to 4 slices, which was equal to, oh wait, it says 3 cups of bread. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so I gotta do this again. Hang on. I had the 4 in my head. So now I am over. Okay, so now we're a good 3, maybe 3.5. I mean, it's kind of hard to measure breadcrumbs in something like this, but I'm definitely very close to the recipe, which is good. You should follow a recipe. Okay, and then it doesn't really matter how big your pieces are. Some of them are little and some are really big, and you could sit here and break them all into these little bitty pieces, but I've just discovered when you have this kind of really soft bread like this, it just doesn't matter. It seems like it's barely worth it. So I just kind of break it up so that my bread has something to, or my milk has something to soak into, but like I don't go too crazy on it, spend too much time on it. Okay, so there's our bread. Now I'm going to turn on some boiling water because you actually bake this in a like a water bath type thing. So now I need 4 eggs. So this is very much like a custard with just bread. Like if you just didn't do the bread, you did the milk, the eggs, and the sugar and vanilla, you'd have basically a baked custard, which is a really nice simple dessert. That's a really good thing to make. I should do a show on that because it's really simple and really yummy. And it's a perfect, like, quick dessert and easy. And anyway, okay. We're not making baked custard, we're making bread pudding, but it has the same ingredients pretty much, which whatever a lot of food does. So, what is that dark thing? I think just a piece of crust. Okay, your 4 eggs, you just want to beat up a little bit. And then you're going to add sugar, 1/3 of a cup. So this lid is a 1/2 cup. So I do just a little bit less. And I'm always okay doing less sugar on this because I just don't like it so sweet. So if you want that sweetness, do a solid 1/3 of a cup, and if you want even more, do 1/2 cup. So I like to stir my sugar with my eggs just to try to get it dissolved as much as possible. I mean, my eggs are cold, so my sugar won't really dissolve that great. Oh, I forgot vanilla. I gotta grab that really quick. Okay, and my burner's on. Okay, so then we're gonna add half a teaspoon. Okay, so I never measure when I do this with this, and I just do a full cup, a full cap, which is probably pretty close to a teaspoon. It doesn't really matter. These things, I always say that. It probably does matter, but whatever. I love bread pudding. So I grew up eating bread pudding as breakfast like cold cereal, where you scoop it into your bowl and then you pour cold milk over and you eat it like cold cereal. And I thought that's how you were supposed to eat bread pudding. I didn't know it was like a dessert thing, but it is. So we're gonna make just the bread pudding right now, and then I might make a caramel sauce in case you want to do it as dessert. A lot of times that's how people do it. They add, they serve it up and then they put a caramel sauce over it. Okay, so this is 2 cups of milk. I'm gonna add that in. I'm gonna whisk that really good. So bread pudding is something I make in the summertime a lot because I don't want, because it stays cold. Like once it's all baked, then you put it in the fridge and then it stays there. And that's when you get it out in the morning. And so it's a really nice, filling, substantial breakfast that's nice and cold. And I don't want a cold cereal in the morning, in the winter. But in the summer, I really do. So I make it way more in the summer. And that's it. Like that's all you got to stir, not that much. Okay, then I do raisins. And I don't usually measure these either. The recipe says 1/3 cup. So I just do like that. I mean, that's for sure 1/4 cup, if not a third. And then I just do it based on looks. You know, like sometimes I overdo it and then it makes it super sweet, which I don't like. But you just kind of want like a nice sprinkling on top. You don't have to get too crazy. Well, you could go crazy if you wanted, I guess, if you really liked it. All right, then I just give this a quick stir, and then you pour this over your, wait, did I do everything? My cinnamon. I knew there was something I was missing. Okay, now you can put a teaspoon of cinnamon, right? Teaspoon? They say half a teaspoon, whatever. All right, I never measure that either because I used to put it in here, and then because cinnamon is so powdery or whatever, it always rose to the top, and then it would always rise to the top in here, and it just seemed like a waste of time and energy. So now, and I was always trying to like stir my cinnamon into my batter, and like it would never work. So now I just sprinkle it right on top of here, and I just give it a nice coating. I really like cinnamon, so I feel like I could never do too much cinnamon. And that probably really was half a teaspoon. So these guys know what they're doing. The recipe people know, they're good at it. Okay, then I just pour it in the same spot. I don't even like dooley-doo all over the place. You could, I guess, but I just don't. Because as soon as I get this in here, then all my stuff is still sticking out. So I just kind of take this and make sure my bread is coated, because I don't want these to bake in the oven because they would get like rock hard. So you need them to be under the milk, soaking in the milk, and then they will get into a nice soft pudding consistency. It just looks beautiful. It looks absolutely perfect. Yay! Okay, and then my cinnamon is like all mixed in. It's not floating to the top in my egg mixture. So now I hear my water ready. So I used to never do this water bath thing for years, and I would always end up with like this really brown crust along my bread pudding, which is fine. Like you can totally eat it that way. But then I was reading about how you put it in a water bath and then it keeps that outside edge from getting too done because it doesn't let it get too hot. And because this has to bake like an hour. So now I do my water bath, and to do that, you just take boiling water, and you have to have a pan big enough so that your baking dish is like nice and flat. It always freaks me out just a little bit to add like hot water to my cold egg mixture. But you want at least a half an inch, if not like a good inch of water in there. I don't think you could do like too much, but that looks like plenty. So what's that? That's probably just a little over a half an inch. Okay, so now this steam will make the edges stay nice and pale, and it really does work. It's pretty cool. So now we're going to pop this in the oven. It's going to bake for like at least 50 minutes, maybe an hour, and you want to always check it with a knife to make sure that that pudding is actually done. So let's throw this in with its nice water bath, and You have to be kind of careful so your water doesn't like slosh all over. Okay, we'll be back in probably like 50 minutes. I'll set the timer for 50 and come back and check on it, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, we are back, and our bread pudding has been in the oven for like 55 minutes. So it's at 325, so it takes a long time, and that water bath also doesn't let the heat get right to it. So you really have to be patient for bread pudding because you want it to be really nice and done, and you want it to bake slowly. So it just takes a little bit of time. So I'm gonna pull mine out, and you can still see I have plenty of water in my water bath. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I always check it with a knife. I mean, you can kind of see it's pretty solid, you know, it's not very spongy and movie. And then when you check it, it's pretty much clean. I mean, just a little bit of stuff, but I'm not too concerned about that. It's when it has all kinds of milk on it that you want to wait, because I did check it at 45 minutes and 50, I guess. And each time I had quite a bit of milk on my actual knife. So you just want to be patient and let it bake all the way through until you really have a nice clean knife, because that means your pudding is all the way done. Okay, so then you just take it out of your water bath like that. You can see it's still a little bit jiggly, and that's okay because it's going to kind of rest and sit on that. Okay, so I never ever eat it hot like this, like right out of the oven. But I want to just kind of show you what it looks like. Oh my gosh, it just looks so good. So I'm going to try to take a bite of it and hopefully not burn my lips off. But that's what you're kind of looking for, is that nice, all that soft bread is now just like fluffy and soft, and it's got all the sugary, eggy mixture stuff in there, and then you get the raisins and the cinnamon. So it's really, really good. So if you wanted this as a dessert, you could serve it right now, or maybe like in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, let it cool just a tad. But serve it with caramel sauce or maple syrup, or just plain by itself with like cinnamon sugar, just plain. And it would be a really yummy dessert. But if you want to eat it my way, I will let this cool for like an hour, and then I'll put it in the fridge, and then tomorrow morning I'll have bread pudding for breakfast, and then it's really firm and solid and just super substantial. It just gets you really filled up and can go run a marathon or something. So, okay, here we go. Wow. I can see why people use this as a dessert. It's so good. I think it's a little bit sweeter when it's hotter or something, and then they add caramel sauce usually at restaurants and stuff. But it's really hot. I'm not going to eat any more. I think I burned my tongue. Not sure. Anyway, that is your bread pudding. It's really nice and simple and really delicious. So thank you very much for watching Box Free with Stephanie. I hope you like the show. I hope you make bread pudding either for dessert or breakfast, and I hope your family loves it. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.